Well, welcome everyone. It's lovely to see you all. And my name's Kathi. This month we're going to be looking at the nature of the mind, which is a huge subject and one of my favourites. So it's it's action-packed. And also, we'll start with that tonight, but also we're going to be looking at karma, because that has so much to do with the mind as well. Everything sources back to the mind, and karma is no exception. It's all about our intention and what motivates our thoughts and our actions. And we're also going to look at the Buddhist approach to death and what happens to us after death. And also meditate on the mind and the Mahamudra, looking at what that means and which is meditating on the nature of mind, and particularly what gets in the way of meditating on the nature of mind, what blocked emotions we might have, different obscurations that cover the deeper, more subtle level of mind. So I thought we could start with just a settling meditation. And the main thing with meditating is the straight back and to be comfortable. So just pretty much what you feel, where you just feel good to sit, whether you're sitting on a chair or on the floor. And also at the beginning of meditation, it's a really good habit to get into focusing on the breath for, say, 5 breaths, just to stabilise your attention and just allows you to start to withdraw inside. But it's also a really great way to familiarise ourselves with concentration. So let's just start with relaxing and focusing on the breath. And then just check wherever there's some physical tension in the body and allow it to drain away. Just look for the areas of tension that whether it's a little bit of discomfort or a bit of holding on to something. Just let that drain away. That helps us to centre our energy. And then see if there's any emotional tension sitting anywhere left over from the day, or even something from before that where you haven't addressed it. Something that's bugging you. Just have a look and see if there's some issue that you want to address. So acknowledge that it's there, if it's there, and allow yourself to let it go just while we do this meditation. And in that clear space, after letting it go, all the physical, emotional tension, just rest in that awareness of that clarity. A calm awareness. And just be with that. And if any distractions come into your mind, whether it be a thought or a noise or a physical discomfort, just allow it to let go, to pass through without following it, without engaging. we can merge our whole awareness with that clear awareness. So the awareness becomes one. So when you're ready, we'll end it there. So with meditation, it can be really good to, like I said, to always start with just 5 breaths. And also, if you want to do like a daily thing, just start with a couple of minutes, even though that might sound like really super beginner stuff. It's actually really pertinent to start with that 2 minutes and build up. That's a sure way of developing concentration. So I didn't do it that way, and I learnt the hard way. It's not advantageous to have a lengthy meditation and just keep trying to bring your awareness back on the focal object, because generally the distractions creep in, and because we're thinking of a time frame that's too long, we lose that intensity and we just lose the object so easily. But if we train from the start with a really short time and just single-pointedly keep your mind centred for 2 minutes and then move on after a while, when that's, easy peasy, then that is how they say we can best develop concentration. And concentration is a great thing for meditating on deeper levels of mind and all sorts of more subtle subjects. So developing single-pointed concentration is big in Buddhism, it's one of the main practices. So with the nature of the mind, that's it has so much understanding from the East, the Buddhist approach to all the learning that we've received from all the meditators has explained what the mind is, how it works, and how we can utilise its power. So in Tibet, well, first of all, there was the Buddha, the historical Buddha, who was the great groundbreaker, who became enlightened, and then so many others followed his teachings and practiced, and we have this massive amount of amazing material on their realizations. And in Tibet, there were 4 main lineages that developed from out of India first, and then really took root in Tibet. And amongst them, there's a myriad of masters who also who have an individual approach too. So even though the textbooks have a particular structure and all the details of the path, there's so many different approaches and perspectives within that, which is great, because then we can resonate with something more than something else. So it's not a fixed thing that we have to just adhere to one approach. And yeah, I found that really great. So you can connect with what works for you and try out different methods. And so at the Buddha's time, which was 2,500 years ago or so, there was the mentality was so different. It was the people's ability, they were like so clear-minded and so quick in intellect, and they would just listen to one talk from the Buddha, and I suppose particularly in his presence it would have been really powerful too, but and they would achieve the realizations just like that, and yeah, so whereas now, you know, we have so much like going against the grain for our it's not so easy. It's a whole different thing. So actually it's weird, because what I find, I went to India recently, and even just over there where there's so many amazing masters, by masters I mean like men and women, like who have achieved realizations, it's like the energy's really powerful there, even today. Like, you know, the Dalai Lama, he comes over here to teach, but when you go over there to India, India, I haven't been to Tibet, but that's supposed to be amazing too. It's like a different level of energy, really quite powerful. So what people say is the energy of so many minds meditating deeply, and certainly in the Tibetan community, well, there's a few, but the one that I went to over the years, you do really notice it, even though I don't normally notice that sort of thing. Even I noticed it, but this time when I went, it was really palpable. So I think it's just about having that concentrated energy of profound minds. I don't know, but there are so many masters from the past and so many today in the world, and even in this building we have amazing realised practitioners. Geshe Doga, the Venerable Geshe Doga, who lives here and teaches. Yeah, actually, on that aspect of how there's different approaches that we're presented with. His Holiness, in one of his teachings, or probably more than one, but he talks about how even though some meditators will explain their experiences in a whole different way from the textbook presentation, because they've experienced that in deep meditation, it's totally valid. And so that's something that I really appreciate, because sometimes I just think it gets away from any dogma. It really opens it up to what's actually people's experience, and His Holiness is always very open to any tradition, which is great. So it's not all about having to do it in a particular way. So anyway, to get back to the mind, well, the definition of the nature of mind is typically clear and knowing, or clarity and awareness, or clear and cognizing, or perceiving objects. So there's these two elements. There's the clear, which refers to basically what allows something to arise into our experience. And the awareness part is the experiencing of that. So when we meditate on the mind, it's a bit perhaps tricky at first to know what you're meditating on, to really pinpoint, because it's so space-like. It's formless and clear, as in colourless, and it's kind of like a being, as in just existing, just being aware, and it's beneath the conceptual mind. The nature of mind is not the thoughts. The thoughts come from out of the deeper level of mind, out of that that clear and knowing. Thoughts arise. So much of the object of like the goal for meditating on the mind is to get beyond the conceptual, because we have so much of that level of mind. And it's a way of being able to know on a deeper level, being in tune with that, because that is always there, but it's often covered up by too much thinking and so on. And without, like if you're not familiar with that, we wouldn't know what we're missing. But when you can tune into that, there's a deeper peace available. In fact, the deeper we get, the more blissful and joyful and clear we are, the experience is. So they often talk about, like, the analogy of the nature of mind being like a clear sky, and the clouds that come in the sky are just temporary, and similarly, what's obscuring our deeper level of mind is temporary, although it can be a little bit like thunderstorms at times, not just clouds and wafting away, so it's like the blocks that are in the way can sometimes become a little bit overwhelming, as we probably have experienced at times. So the pure nature isn't tainted by any of this. It just remains completely clean, clear, and so at any time, it's like we can access that, and like an ongoing practice that is really conducive for that is to, a little bit like what the meditation was before, just observe what issues you're holding on to, what feelings you have that are bugging you, or whether you've got like some story going on where just the daily life dramas and so on, where we hold on to them sometimes far too long, and get a bit neurotic, and not just talking personally, and it's brings eventually like disease and mental health issues if we leave it go. So this is kind of like the opposite. This is the ticket to freedom, and it's one of the really great ways of penetrating through to that and releasing what's in the way is basically to totally embrace what's in the way. So first we acknowledge it, whether it's a nasty feeling or whether it's already developed into some physical thing. Of course we have to address that, but that's all tied up with the emotions. So it's a bit of a vicious cycle. We can get there gradually, and one of the best ways is to keep letting go of emotional feelings. So we don't want to have anger sitting in us. We don't want to have like a longing desire about something that's getting too much, getting too obsessive, resentment, guilt, fears. This is a way of addressing all those things. There's lots of ways, but this is one way. So yeah, in Buddhism, it's a lot to do with developing wisdom and compassion. They're like the two kind of really core qualities, and kind of, well, they take care of everything basically. So yeah, I mean, we naturally have qualities already, and probably like what draws you here to a Buddhist centre is those qualities that resonate with wanting to know more about the spiritual path and developing all that. So yeah, like what, you know, because we naturally want to be happy and we want to have all of the things that make us feel good. We want to be liked, you know, we want love, and we want understanding and appreciation, and we don't want to feel all those negative, like afflicted minds that bog us down. So yeah, it's natural that we would be seeking out some ways of doing it. And yeah, only from one point of view, what we really want to do is become invincible. So we want to be liked and all that, but actually if we were so strong within us, within ourselves, so in touch with our deeper nature, which is love and wisdom, then we wouldn't actually need to depend on like, we wouldn't need outer sources of that. So yeah, it's yeah, basically we would just be happy whatever happens, which is the best. That's the best, and that's the goal of spiritual path, really, to be able to be completely okay with anything. And a lot of the masters of the past have left us with ways to do that. Yeah, different methods and like verses of thought on that, which really help sustain that approach and take us to that inner strength. So yeah, the thing about being really, really happy ourselves within, without depending on, you know, our relationships and so on, is that the joy that we have naturally coming within us is like kind of becomes so it spills out, you know, and so we're actually able to be emanating, you know, that love to others, which is what the compassion part of Buddhism is all about. And so how to achieve this is ironically about letting go of ourself, even though what we're going to get out of it is just the ultimate state for ourself. we have to start by letting go of ourself, and that's where wisdom and compassion come in again, and it's all about the mind. So with wisdom and compassion are like complementary. So it's like the analogy they use is the two wings of a bird are essential to fly, if they want to fly. So to get to the goal, you need the two wings, or the two method being compassion and wisdom. And we're going to be talking about those two quite a bit. And so with compassion, it's called the vast. So wisdom and compassion are called, or actually the other way around, compassion and wisdom are called the vast and the profound. Vast compassion, profound wisdom. And why that is well, one reason why compassion is labelled the vast is because of the object of our compassion is all beings, and so it's like countless beings. And how that works is that by having what compassion is the wish for others to be released from suffering, and that's like a deeply felt. When you develop compassion, it's not just for the people we love or the pets we love. It's indiscriminately for all. And so the power of that mind directed to all beings, because there's so many, it's really manifold powerful. You know, it's really an incredible power in that. And so with the goal in Buddhism, it's actually to get to a point where we are fully able to help others, which is full awakening or enlightenment. And so in order to fully help others, we have this goal of becoming enlightened and following the spiritual path to achieve that on the basis of, for the sake of all beings. And we can't anyway get there to this state without having that mindset of wanting to free all beings from suffering. That's the only way you can get there. So, and you've got to really feel it. You can't just think it. So it's this, getting to the point where you have great compassion for all beings. You need to have this sense of even wanting by yourself alone to achieve that, even by yourself alone. So there's like, the goal is bodhicitta, and on the that comes on the basis of this. So bodhicitta is what you call that mind wishing to achieve enlightenment for others. and that comes on the basis of this superior intention of thinking, yeah, I'm just going to do that by myself alone. And that comes on the basis of the great compassion for all beings. And that comes on the basis of love, which is wanting all beings to be happy. And like that, it goes back a bit further too. But that's the basics. So yeah, I will go into more about wisdom, because it's a really huge subject. And but are there any questions, or anyone want to say anything about any of that? We'll do another meditation also. So with in Buddhism, there's kind of like a set of different mind states that are very detailed. Like there's massive amount of detail about the mental faculties and mental factors, they call it. But you can compact it down to, like, say, what they call 5 root delusions, which are, well, first, confusion, ignorance about the way things exist, and about how the law of cause and effect works, karma. And then that leads to attachment, anger, and the other 2 states are there's pride and jealousy. And so why I bring these up is it's a really interesting with those mind states, how in Buddhism they have these representations of the enlightened aspects of having transformed those 5 delusions, and they're often referred to as the 5 Dhyani Buddhas that represent these enlightened, basically 5 wisdoms that come as through the transformation of those delusions. And they also relate to our chakras, and there's a nice meditation where you can focus on clearing out the each chakra. And the other thing that relates to this is there's a mantra that's a really core mantra in Buddhism, Om Mani Padme Hum, it's the one that activates and energizes the quality of compassion. So reciting that, it helps us generate compassion. It's kind of like known to be the staple of the Tibetan people and the Nepalese, the Buddhist Nepalese, the Sherpas, and so on. Yeah, it's like they kind of breathe this mantra. They recite it all the time, and it's a really, really powerful one. I mean, compassion being one of the major central qualities to develop, it's a 6-syllable mantra, and so it is also related to the chakras, as in each syllable purifies and transforms the particular delusion that's associated more specifically with each chakra. Chakra being the center, like the crown, at the crown, throat, heart, navel, and well, you could call it the sacral chakra or the secret chakra, where there's the energy channels are meeting at these points. And so within us, the psychic channels, they're all the subtle, they've got the subtle energies flowing through them. And that's how we can access the deeper levels of mind, through centering these energies. So the central channel is the like the where our most subtle awareness is, and also is located at the heart. But basically we have it all blocked. So apparently there's like 100 knots in these channels in it. It's hard to imagine that there's that many, but it's a bit like the physical veins we have, but it's on a psychic level. So, and also, you know, in Chinese medicine and Tibetan medicine, they talk about the meridians and all that. That's all part of it. And it's all interconnected with our well-being, you know, our physical health and our mental health. And interestingly, in Tibetan medicine, they have 3 main, what they call humours, which is the wind, the bile, and the phlegm, and they all need to be balanced, and that's all part of our psychic system. So it's all interconnected, and so in the medical practice in Tibet, with the Tibetans, Tibetan doctors, they have they're really masters in the whole spiritual side of things as well, because it's so interconnected. And so when we focus inwardly, we're drawing in all the energies within us, we're settling them down, and we're ideally drawing them into the central channel. And sometimes, like, that can happen at odd times. You might notice that you suddenly feel kind of more centred than others, certainly, like here, we notice it with just sitting in the presence of Geshe Doga. You know, his energy can help settle ours. And that's partly what happens when you go to a place like India, where there's, if you go to a particular, you know, gathering of a lot of realised practitioners, then yeah, you can really notice that effect on yourself, like I was talking about before. And yeah, and actually tomorrow it's a full moon lunar eclipse, and so everything is magnified 700,000 times. So yeah, everything's a lot more powerful. That's also the case with the solar eclipse, only it's much more. It's 100 million times magnified. Yeah, it's yeah, it's a funny thing, because the in what Buddhists refer to as these times being degenerate, as compared to back in the Buddha's time, for instance, and there's so much, everything's sort of a little bit falling apart, you know, like not just environmentally, but in lots of ways there's so much disturbance and yeah, in people's minds, and that is playing out in the world with so much war and so on. I mean, it has been like this for centuries, but yeah, there's a actual kind of process of it getting worse. And even they talk about eclipses being part of that, like the planet eclipses being part of that degeneration. But I don't get why that's a bad thing, because the energy is so powerful. It's really great for meditating and, you know, utilising that extra power. So it is already building up to it. So I don't know whether we'll notice it tomorrow, but yeah, and so everything's magnified, meaning not just good for meditating, but all our actions, all our thoughts, all our physical, what we do, what we say, everything has that magnifying effect. And so it's a lot more potent. So in Buddhism, you know, we're always aware to watch out, like, of creating, you know, a super negative thing tomorrow, like, you know, getting angry or beating someone up or whatever. Like, it's going to be 700,000 times more worse. But on the other side, whatever positive things we do is going to be really, really great. A powerful impact on our mind. All right, so it's nearly 9 o'clock. We'll just do a meditation on the chakra thing. It's a clearing meditation just to finish off with. You don't have to close your eyes with meditation. It's just a shutting down of that sense to not get distracted. But, you know, as beginners, we tend to find it easier, but you don't need to. Yeah, so it's just about being comfortable and allowing yourself to withdraw inwardly in whatever way you do best. So, just 5 breaths. Then imagine that above your crown is the enlightened aspect of the Buddha sitting above your crown. Or, if you're more comfortable with another form, that's fine. Just to be aware that this is a fully awakened, completely purified source of energy that will come from this object, this form. And a stream of light emanates down from this enlightened energy through your crown and penetrates your crown chakra, fills all the spokes of the wheel. So it's like a wheel that's sitting flat. A circle of spokes, which are the channels. And there's 32. And this energy, this white, blissful light completely fills all the channels in the crown chakra. So they all unwind and spread out beautifully, completely clean, clear. Clearing away all the dredges, the blocks. So this brilliant white light filling your crown chakra. And then it overflows downwards through your central channel to your throat chakra and fills the 16 spokes or petals of the chakra at the throat. So the attachment energy at the throat is transformed into love, which is vibrating and blissful, filling all of the throat chakra, 16 spokes, and overflows down into your heart chakra, the eight petals or spokes at the heart, and completely purifies any of the anger energy sitting there. Which becomes pure compassion. Blissful, pure light. And nectar. It's still coming down from above your crown, pushing down through, spills out of the heart chakra down to the navel and fills up all the 64 petals or spokes of the navel chakra. And clears away any of the arrogant energy. It's flushing out all of the afflicted energy. So it's brilliant white nectar that overflows down into the sacral secret chakra, the 32 spokes there. Completely eliminates all the envy, jealousy, energy. So we now feel completely filled with this blissful nectar, vibrating through all the channels of our body. It's like molten love, nectar of love. And now we can emanate that out into all directions. So it fills the expanse of space beyond even the universe, purifying all beings, all forms of life. So we can finish the meditation there. So, any questions before we finish? Next week we're going to be looking at how karma works, and ways of purifying our actions and our thoughts. There's so many different purification practices in Buddhism, and they're so great to know when we're feeling guilty, which we don't really feel guilty, as in it's all about regret, not guilt. But some of us in the West, we have this notion of guilt that seems to plague us, quite a lot of people. And when we regret something, it's so great to be able to feel that we completely purified of it. And there's so many ways we can sort it out. And we'll be looking at all that. And what else? And also what wisdom's all about, developing that, which is to do with how we perceive existence and the way things appear to us. So, great, and thank you so much for coming, because it's really great to have you all here. Okay.